Hi, kids. Welcome to Miss Nancy's Bible College for Kids. I'm so glad you can be with me. It makes all the difference. Without you, I'd just be talking. I hear myself talk all the time. But we're on the second story of the scary stories through the Bible. I really want you to concentrate on these things because the scariest thing is, like I told you last time, and I'm going to try to remember to tell you every time, if you are not a Christian or if you don't get saved, you're going to be in a horrible place called hell where the devil is. So I'm not saying that to scare you, but if you're not saved, I want you to get saved. So Miss Nancy would be guilty if I didn't tell you the truth. Today's lesson is the vision of the valley of dry bones. I just want you to think when we're going through this story, not so much about, don't let me just say the words and you listen. Think about if you was with this story and you was in this story, the things that you would see, the things that you would hear. I have a bag of bones that I rattle. I didn't bring them. I fail you all the time. But you can just imagine when we go through this story. So please, kids, put on your ears and open your heart and hear this story. It's in the Old Testament, in the book of Ezekiel. It's not a very long story, but it's a very powerful story. Just imagine today if you and I was to go take a walk and we made this walk. That's how real it could be. So, in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 37, the hand of the Lord was upon me. Now this is Ezekiel talking. And carried me out in the spirit of the Lord, and set me down in the midst of the valley, which was full of bones, and caused me to pass by them round about, and behold, they were very many in the open valley, and lo, they were very dry. So it means the bones have been there a while, guys. You didn't smell flesh or nothing because they were old. And he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Lord God, thou knowest. He didn't know whether they could or not. I would guess, just being a human, that if I saw them, I would think, probably not. They look like they're long gone. Again he said unto me, now this is the Lord, prophesy upon these bones. And prophesy means to tell a story before it happens. Tell me what's going to happen. Prophesy upon these bones, and say unto them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord God unto these bones, Behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live. The Lord had a plan. And I will lay sinews upon you, that's like muscles, and I will bring flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath into you. And ye shall live, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. So I prophesied as I was commanded. And as I prophesied, there was a noise. This is where I usually have my bag of bones. And as I prophesied, there was a noise and a shaking. And the bones came together, bone to his bone. It reminds me of that silly song we used to sing about the leg bone connected to the thigh bone, the thigh bone's connected to the hip bone. But anyway, and when I beheld, lo, the sinews and the flesh came upon them, and the skin covered them up from above, but there was no breath in them. Then said he unto me, the Lord talking to Ezekiel, prophesy unto the wind, prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, what if God told you to prophesy to the wind? What would you do? And he said to tell him this. This is what the Lord told Ezekiel. Come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain, that they may live. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived, and they stood up on their feet, an exceeding great army. Then he said unto me, Son of man, These bones, he explains what they are, guys. These bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, our bones are dried. Our hope is lost. We are cut off for our parts. Therefore prophesy and say unto them, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, O my people, I will open your graves and cause you to come up out of your graves and bring you into the land of Israel. Now, I'm not going to get too deep into it, kids, but this has not happened yet. Yes, Israel became a nation again in May of 1948. And yes, Donald Trump, when he was president, he made the capital of Israel, Jerusalem. So we know that everything's in place. But one day, after a while, there is going to be his kingdom over in Jerusalem, in Israel, and it's going to be forever. But that's another story. So let's go back to this scary one. I'll open your graves. I'll cause breath to come upon you. You'll come out of your graves. You'll live. And I'll bring you into the land of Israel. And ye shall know. This is what it's all about, guys. That's what Miss Nancy's trying to tell you. Ye shall know that I am the Lord when I have opened your graves, O my people, and brought you up out of your graves. This ain't the only time in the Bible that this has happened, but this is today's story. And shall put my spirit in you, just like his spirit lives in us right now. If you're a Christian, Jesus Christ's spirit lives in you. And he said, Ye shall live, and I shall place you in your own land. Then shall ye know that the Lord hath spoken it and performed it. If God says something, kids, you can be reassured he is going to do it. He promises. There's one thing he cannot do, and that's tell a lie. And he said, I, the Lord, have spoken. He brings everything together after this. But he has performed what he said he'd do. And they stood upon their feet, and it was a huge army. I could just imagine when he told them to go and what they did after that. But that's the end of the story. And let's go ahead and get to the questions and answers. Okay. Who was speaking in this story? It's the same book of the Bible that we're in. Ezekiel. And where did the Spirit or the hand of the Lord set Ezekiel down in this story? In the midst of a valley. And what was that valley full of? Dry bones. Were they few or many? Very many. What condition were they in? They were very dry. What did the Lord ask Ezekiel? Son of man, that's what he called him. Can these bones live? What did Ezekiel answer the Lord? Oh, Lord God, thou knowest. Ezekiel really didn't know. But what did the Lord tell Ezekiel to do? He said, Ezekiel, prophesy. Remember what that means? Tell them what's going to happen. Then they'll know that I sent you. So he said, prophesy unto them and tell them bones, Behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live. The Lord knew the answer the whole time. What else was the Lord going to do to the bones? He was going to add the sinews, the muscles, the flesh, or the skin. And then at the end, he was going to do what? Put breath in them, and they would live. Why did he say that he was going to do this? That they would know, just like us, that he was the Lord. And what did Ezekiel do? He did what the Lord told him. He was obedient. Then what happened, guys? Oh, Miss Nancy wishes she would have brought that bag of bones. He heard a rattling. They all start joined together and all that. And then what happened next? There was that noise, the shaking, the bones going together. Then the sinew come upon them, the flesh and the skin. What was not in them yet? The breath. So what did the Lord tell Ezekiel to prophesy? He said, prophesy to the four winds. and tell them, "Oh, come, breath, breathe on these bones and tell them that they can live." And when Ezekiel prophesied to the four winds, what happened? They did live. They stood up, and it was one exceeding great army. Who did the Lord tell Ezekiel that these bones was, or that they represented? The whole house of Israel. And why? Again, why? Because they said, "Our bones are dried up. Our hope is lost. We are cut off." No, they wasn't. God is not done with them, and he's going to go back to them, especially when the church, which is us, born-again Christians, leaves out of here in the rapture. What did God say for Ezekiel to prophesy to Israel? "I will open your graves. I will bring you up out of your land, and I will put you back together." They're together now, but not like they're going to be in the future. Then what would Israel know? That God is their Lord, that he opened their graves, that he brought them up, that he put the Spirit in them, that they could live in their land. And then he did speak it. It did happen here. And the final thing is, when Israel comes together, all is one, and he's over there reigning on the earth. It's going to be a wonderful time. But kids, anytime you see a bone, I hope you remember this story about the Valley of Dry Bones. Even when we was little, we'd see a dog with a bone. I wish I'd known this story then. I would have remembered. I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.